Hello, and thank you so much for joining me. This is Crafting Saturday night, and so I really wanted to jazz up my envelopes. I used to have a die set that I would use to sort of pretty up the inside of my envelopes that kind of matched the envelopes that I had from the shop that I used. And I haven't done it in ages, and I just thought, actually, I really want my nice, pretty cards to match my envelopes, or my envelopes to match my pretty cards. So I've got several different envelopes here. I'm going to share with you about 4 or 5 different styles of envelope and how you can go about making this. Takes about 3 minutes to do. I kid you not, it is so awesome. So I've got these longer envelopes, the slimline envelopes, and I've got these ones that have the funky kind of cutoff area. So I'm going to share with you how you can jazz up the inside of your envelope. It is so easy and so fast. So you can take your envelope and you're going to measure on your envelope from that top point to the crease. And you're going to measure from where this sticky is. So I'm just drawing a little mark here so you can see it's on the inside of that sticky, the adhesive. That's where I'm measuring from to the very corner. Okay, that's the measurement you're looking for. I didn't have any copy paper nearby, so I just grabbed my crafty magazine that I was going to recycle because I'd gone through it. I've taken out all the ideas and inspiration that I wanted from it, and I'm just using that to make myself a template. Now this template will live in my drawer with my envelopes. So as you can see, this is my drawer of multicolored envelopes, and I also have a drawer of just my kind of plain envelopes, and then I got a whopping box hiding somewhere else with all the rest of my envelopes. So I'm going to take these templates and I'm going to put them in there with the envelopes that they kind of match with, and then that way I remember what size I cut my cardstock to. So I'm just going to go ahead and double check that this is going to fit. So I'm sliding my template into my envelope, and I'm just checking that the corners where the crease of the envelope is will fit in there nicely. Then I can go ahead and I can take my proper cardstock that matches my card and cut that. Now you can just go for it and cut your cardstock straight off from the start, or your decorative paper, whatever you've got. Paper sometimes works a little bit easier just because it's a bit more flexible, but either work just fine. So you can go ahead and cut your paper up and have it ready to go in your envelope. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it directly in half. So we're just going to line up those tips together and then just kind of run your finger along and enforce that crease. Now you could do this so that you've got your paper with that nice triangle at the top and then have a nice long bottom, and that's what I've seen a lot of people do, is they create templates so that the cardstock goes all the way to the bottom of your envelope and covers that whole inside. But I find that if you just do a square and fold it in half, every envelope I've done in this video, you can't tell that it's not gone all the way to the bottom, and no one's ever going to open the envelope up and look inside and be like, ooh, does it work? Does it match? So you can see here I've just got a little bit of space on each end of those corners. So it's just a little bit short, and that's because of the adhesive on the top of the envelope, right? We can't go all the way to the edge because then we can't seal our envelope. So this one is nice because it's a triangular tip. It's got a very sharp point on these envelopes. So you can use glue, liquid glue, you can use tape runner, whatever you like. I like this liquid glue because it dries quick and it doesn't seem to warp my paper at all. So if you've got a glue that's a bit more watery, it might warp your envelope, and that might not be a good idea, so you might want to use a tape runner in that instance. But all you're going to do then is fold the flap down to meet your paper. So you're going to put your paper in, fold it over, make sure it's nice and tight into that crease, and then you're just going to fold the envelope top over top of it, and then that's it. You're done. That is your envelope. Super quick, super easy, and really effective. So here's another envelope, but we've got the curve on it. So I'm going to share with you how you do the curve on your envelope. Most envelopes come with that kind of curve rather than the point. I've got this pearlescent envelope. Most of my envelopes have come from eBay. I'll try and link them down below for you if you want to check them out. I've got Twilight Wishes. This came from the Every Craft's a Pound. I paid £1 for this packet of cardstock. And this is my tutorial I did last week. I did a little tutorial on kind of numbing out your papers so that you can stamp over top of them. I'll link that video down below as well. So I've just measured this, and it is 11 inches long as well. So I've got my same template from my last card, and it works perfect for this. So I'm just going to use my cardstock and cut it straight up because I know that the 11 by 11 works well. The only downside is that my pattern isn't facing the right direction with my card, but I'm not that bothered. I've got this corner rounder. It is just a corner rounder, but it's one on steroids. You could cut like all kinds of chipboard and various things with it. I'm using the 1/2 inch rounded corner. You could also take an object that's round and just kind of trace around it and then cut your rounded edge if you don't have a corner rounder. Really easy to do. Loads of objects in your craft room you could use to make that corner rounded. So again, we're going to put it into the envelope, check that our edges are nice and even, so we've got the same amount of spacing on each side of the envelope. Then we're going to close the envelope with the paper in there. Make sure it's nice and tucked into that crease. Then we're going to take our adhesive. I'll use the tape runner here just to share with you how you can do it. And you're just going to apply some adhesive on the 3 sides and then just close your envelope over the top. So obviously the bottom is not glued, but that doesn't matter. It allows the envelope to open and close without being wedged in there and stuck. And it's not going to fall out, is it? Because you've got the adhesive on the top, so it's not going to pop out. Now I've got this envelope. It is too big for the card. I couldn't find the smaller square envelope, so I do apologize, but I'm just going to use this one anyways. I've got the matching cardstock to go with this card, so I don't have decorative paper for this one. I've just got cardstock. But I'm going to use my cardstock and decorate the inside of my envelope because I do not have large square envelopes in colored envelope forms. And sometimes you might have a purple card, but the purple envelope you've got doesn't match at all. So this is a way that you can make your envelope match your card and give that hint of color. So I've measured it there, and I'm going ahead and cutting my template out of my magazine paper, and it's 12.5 by 12.5 centimeters for this large envelope, and I'm just going to slot it in. So whatever envelopes you've got, this is how you measure it to make sure that it will fit for you. So my template fits in there nicely. You can see the adhesive perfectly clear. We know we're good to go. So now I can take my cardstock, I can cut this up, I'll put that template in with those envelopes. I keep it in a cellophane bag, so I'll just tuck it in that cellophane. Now, if your cardstock's a bit thick and you're worried about matching your corner to corner, you can take your paper trimmer. You can either use a stylus, or if your paper trimmer comes with a scoring blade, then you can go ahead and line up the point to the point on that little cutting section, and then you can just score it, and you don't have to worry about fiddling and trying to get it nice and neat. Now my paper trimmer needs a new blade, so it's got a little bit of a hairy edge. I'm just going to trim that off with my Tim Holtz scissors. They're nice and long and easy. Then my 1/2 inch corner rounder, and I'm just going to chop off that corner, line up my corners there to make sure that they fit nicely in the envelope, stick on my adhesive, close the lid on top of it, and done. How awesome is that? And you can't tell, you have no idea that that's just a small square. But we're not faffing around with trying to do all these extra measurements. Here's our weird envelope that doesn't have a point. This is where a T ruler comes in so handy. These are only £1 or £2. They're really inexpensive to find. You can get them on loads of websites. What we're going to do here is we're going to measure that corner where the crease is, and we're going to make sure we're lined up along that adhesive line. And then on the other side, on the left, we're going to put our T ruler so that it's gripping that left hand edge. And that way you can see that's where the point would be if we had a point on this envelope. So we're lining it up so the T ruler is touching the left hand side and running along the adhesive on the right, and we're measuring from that corner mark. So here's my little template I'm cutting again from my magazine. I'm cutting it at 16 centimeters by 16 centimeters. Now I'm lining up, and you can see my points go over the edge. So I didn't get that quite right, but it looks roughly like 1 centimeter too much. So I'm taking off 1 centimeter on each side. I'm going to 15 by 15 centimeters, and that works perfect. You can see my little corners just fit nice and snug in the envelope. You can see the adhesive perfectly clear. We know that's going to work. So I'm going to mark this at 15 by 15 because I know that that is going to be the right size for this long slimline envelope. Now, the other thing to think about is we've got to trim off that top. So what we can do is take our T ruler again, and we're going to line it up. Oh, this is the other thing I'm pointing out. It fits nicely in the envelope, so we don't need to trim the bottom, is what I was showing you there. It fits in the envelope. We don't have to worry about that. But for the top, we're going to line up where we think the adhesive is along that top row, and it's quite easy to kind of gauge because it's about 1 centimeter on each side, and then we can just mark it and trim it off. So I've got this paper pad that I got from the range for £2.99. It's really thin, it's proper paper, not cardstock, so it works really great in envelopes, and this pink just seemed to match my slimline envelope really nicely. So I've gone ahead and I've trimmed that down to 15 by 15 because I worked out that's the right size it's going to fit in here. I'm going to fold it over in half, line up those 2 points, and then I can tuck that into my envelope. We know that the bottom of that bit of paper is not going to poke into the bottom of the envelope because we measured it with our template. And now I'm just going to line it up and make sure it's nice and even on both those edges. And then I can go ahead and fold that top point down. Actually, we're going to cut off that top, aren't we? I'm getting ahead of myself. So we can then go ahead and take our T-ruler and do the exact same thing we did with our template. And we're going to kind of line it up. Any ruler will work. You don't need a T-ruler to do this bit of trimming. But the T-ruler is my favorite tool. So you go ahead and mark it off with your pencil. And then I used my paper trimmer. You could use scissors if you like. I just like my paper trimmer because I know it's nice and straight. And I'm just going to line that line up with the line on my paper trimmer. And any pencil marks that are left over, you can just take and erase them out. And it, I barely had any pencil marks on there. Now we can line it up inside. We can get our edges nice and straight and make sure they're central. And you can see the adhesive is perfectly showing all around. Fold it over. Make sure it's nice and tucked into that crease. We can take our adhesive runner, and in this case, like our tape runner works really nice because they're just nice straight edges. And we can just run that along, close our envelope, and we're done. So that's my top tip trick for making your own decorative envelopes. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up on my video. That helps me to get more views. And please make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have videos coming out. I'm trying to do them every Wednesday and Saturday at the moment. I love crafting on the weekends, and I love sharing a video with you on a Saturday night, especially when half the world is in lockdown and we don't have that much of a social life, do we? So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Happy crafting! Bye!